Welcome back to the Weekly Manga Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all of your favorite ongoing Japanese manga. This week, we're going to talk about the return of Aliens Area author Fusai Naba, featuring his new work, Kyoukuto Necromance. We will also talk about another return in Sakamoto Days, wink wink, Chapter 163, and we will cap out the show with talking about the huge twist from One Piece, Chapter 1113. All that manga news and more coming right up. Hello again, my name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel, and this week I am joined again by my Nakama Gautam.
Hello, hello.
All right, let's talk about Kyoukuto Necromance by Fusai Naba. This is the author previously of Aliens Area, which I believe was published in 2022, canceled in 23. I think that lines up about right. Maybe it was all in 22. I don't remember. That series wasn't very good. This one isn't either, in my opinion. Gautam, did you read this? How do you feel about it? Any emotions at all here?
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
That wasn't great. That felt like a first draft.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. What were your thoughts, Bruce?
I mean, it's sad because I think a lot of these authors we see get canceled, get axed in Jump, and there's a lot of them, right? I mean, Jump is canceling, probably 12 series a year or something like that. And I think a lot of them deserve second chances or third chances or, another attempt. Grabbing the minds of people early and getting them in is difficult. So I understand that. I think the most disappointing thing about this is that there is no improvement in this chapter 1 from what I read of Aliens Area previously. It feels like this author is stagnant or maybe even sliding backwards. Like I think Aliens Area maybe had a better chapter 1 than Kyoukuto Necromance did. And that's disappointing because I think when you see that, it's kind of like, okay, well, like we gave you a chance, and when you came back, you didn't improve. This isn't better than the last thing you tried. I don't think the art improved at all or changed. The writing is very, I don't know, it seems very beginner in my opinion. And I felt the same about Aliens Area. But Aliens Area was more interesting in that, okay, it's MIB, it's Men in Black. There's, aliens and he's got the arm thing. Like, okay, that's generic. This is just like another Exorcist series. Like how many times I feel like I have to complain about this every week because it's not every week, but it's like once every 3 months or more. It's like Weekly Shonen Jump. You got to stop publishing Bleach clones. You got to stop doing this. Like I'm so fucking tired of Tokyo Exorcist series. Like I'm so tired of it. And this is just another one. And until one of them comes out that proves me wrong, they've all been bad.
This is the worst one of the lot so far.
Yeah, it's in contention for
a bad first chapter, right? So I guess here's my issues with it, right? And we can scroll through the pages. But honestly, it's basically this kid's grandma passes out. He can see these little Esper creatures. The best part about this chapter 1 is the grandma. She was adorable.
She was cute. Yeah, I'll give him that.
Yeah, that's kind of the only thing I liked though. The main character, you don't really get to see his personality if he does have one.
No, he does not have one. His only character trait that I can tell, his only driving force is I need to protect my grandma, which is so baseline, bullshit action shonen. I have one singular drive. It's the only thing, and I care about nothing else. He's I must protect grandma. That's it. Yeah. That's the only thing he does.
Well, basically, if you do a synopsis of this first chapter, it's kind of ludicrous if you think about it, right? Because he meets this man in front of his high school. He's this guy's a weirdo, but a popular author. They spend way too much time here in front of this high school.
Yeah, there's 6 pages of them talking and none of it matters. It's this guy talking about I was doing boring stuff, and then I don't know. I put this page in here because at the bottom right here where it's where he's you're here for me, and he's it's just there's so much text on this page, and there's not even that much text, but nothing is said here. Like,
I
and
think
his reaction,
the intent is to characterize this guy as like a quirky weirdo,
aloof
right?
and cool and weird. Yeah,
Yeah,
like the cool.
but
Everyone's
still
trying
like
to.
a good guy at heart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone's
exactly.
trying to be the next Gojo, right? Because everybody loves Gojo
Yeah,
from Jujutsu Kaisen. He's a little
it
bit
kind of
of a
feels that
quirky
way, doesn't it?
weirdo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is yeah,
But yeah, like as a short synopsis, the main character instantly doesn't trust this man. And the guy's like, "Hey, get in my car." He does get in the car on for some reason on the drive over to wherever they're going. He doesn't explain. He explains to the kid that demons exist, and then he says, "Watch this," while they're driving. Shows him a demon, and they stop the drive because the kid sees his grandma, and because they're going to go exercise the demon and the grandma, as the guy explains a little later. They stop mid-drive. He goes up, finds the grandma, sees a demon, fights the demon. The guy parks his car, helps him fight the demon, and that's chapter 1. It's like
yeah.
they all their meeting, everything was just over the course of a car ride. They explained demons existing in a car ride. It feels just
It's just
I don't know.
so
It's strange.
I think you're absolutely right that this feels like a first draft, right? Where you would hand this
Yeah.
to an editor and he would be like, okay, like I see where you want to go, but like give me more reason for the character to get into a car. Like give me less of a like there's a word, I don't remember if it's in TV or movies or what, but there are scenes where it's just two characters talking to each other. And
Mhm.
if those characters don't move around or are in sort of a boring like backdrop, like those scenes often fall really flat. And there's a lot of those scenes in this chapter 1. There's a lot of just the main character talking to his grandma. There's flashbacks of the main character talking to his dad that is just two characters in a room talking. There's two characters in the car talking, two characters in front of the school talking. And then you get a fight scene at the end and then they talk some more. And it's like, there's nothing interesting going on.
Why did nothing happen? Why was the existence of demons explained on the car ride over to go find the grandma?
Fight a demon that conveniently grandma is there. And like, I get that. Okay. Sometimes there's plot conveniences to tell your story, but also like they could have run into
they were listlessly searching for the grandma. They weren't even sure where she was. So they were just like driving around. It's like, let's go find your grandma. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like this is a manga, right? You can establish stakes a little bit higher than two people driving around and looking for an old woman, you know? And I feel like characters, like the trust that this necromancer guy and this kid have built didn't feel earned because they don't trust each other in my eyes. It's like they don't even this kid just followed a sketchy dude and now I don't know. It's all strange to me. Well, it doesn't make sense.
And it's the problem with, I think, the lack of characterization of the main character is like, okay, well, maybe he is a really trusting person, but we aren't shown that or told that. He just trusts him at some point. Or maybe he's a not trusting person and this is out of character. We don't know because the main character has no character. Like he's nothing. He's the worst example.
The thing is, he didn't seem to trust the guy. He called him sketchy at every opportunity, but he got in the car anyway, and then they drove over to find grandma. It's like, this happened because the plot needed to happen.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what the character wants or the. Yeah.
I agree. Lots of plot conveniences where it's like, well, these things are happening because the plot needs them to, not because the characters would do this normally.
Yeah. And I think that's like kind of insane for chapter 1 because your primary motive is to establish what the main characters like, what they would do, what they wouldn't do, what they like, what they don't like. And here it feels like he's being railroaded. Like a bad DM would, you know?
I know. I think that's a good call. I do think, plot convenience, railroading, which is, like a D&D storytelling term, like being forced to do something that your character might not choose to do because the story or the DM or the storyteller needs you to do it. That feels bad in every way that it happens. And it feels bad in this chapter.
And we don't know if the character wouldn't do that or would do that. We don't know anything about the character. But
that's the other problem.
It felt that way. It felt that way because it wasn't logical, and it was just this just felt like a bizarre first chapter. I think anyone who's listening to this, you should just go read it, and I think you'll get what we're talking about a little bit. Yeah, it's just clunky.
It's super clunky. Like I said, feels like a first draft, feels like the author's first attempt, and this is their like second time in Jump being given a chance. There's also like lots of just, I don't know, it was full of these examples of this panel, like when when they're talking down here, like on the left page on the bottom left, there's just kind of like a whole corner of the page is occupied by the character going, right, I see. And then the two characters look at each other. And it's like, I'm not getting any extra information. I'm not getting any character out of that. Like, why are those panels there? Here on this other page, again, on the bottom of the left page, there's just 3 shots of an eyeball, right? Like, takes up about, I don't know, a quarter of the page, a fifth of the page. Like,
I'm actually
why?
confused as to the intent too. Like,
yeah, there's just a lot of like,
I understood the clunky intent of what we were talking about earlier, but I don't understand this paneling. Yeah, you're right. This is weird.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of like, oh, I've seen other people just sort of like, oh yeah, they add panels at the end, or I need to fill out this page, and they've just drawn things that kind of don't. I don't know if I'd say it's like railroading the visuals, but it's like it just like doesn't. Why are those shots there? They just kind of slow down the pacing, right? Like instead of a fight.
But surely you could have just made the monster bigger in that panel, right? Or
yeah,
just, like,
which is weird.
I don't know.
Yeah. Also, I can't get like.
Strange.
Again, with this main character, he's like crouched with this, he has this, he's cool stand demon fighting thing that comes out of his ring over his grandma. He's supposed to look badass and he says, I'll protect myself and grandma. And it's like, that's the lamest thing you could say in that situation. Like,
God, I know. That is a really uncool thing to say.
There's so many cooler ways to say this. And like, okay, maybe this is an English translation thing. I'm going to say probably not, because probably Japanese, he says something about like, watashi and what is like
I think there's only so much like, you can attribute to
because I'll protect those I love, like that's better, like that's still a little clunky, but that's better, or I don't know, it's just again like his only driving force is like he loves his grandma.
I don't think you can say grandma and sound cool. It's like
no, you
it's
can't.
Like saying like if your dad's being threatened and you're from the South, it's like saying I'll protect my peapod no matter what. It's like those kinds of words just don't go with coolness,
I won't let these demons hurt my Meemaw.
Yeah,
this character would be much more interesting if he was a country bumpkin and he talked like that. Like honestly, saying like I'll protect me and Meemaw is like there's character in that. It isn't in this. There's like that's not interesting in this story.
At least I could place a personality archetype if he said something like that.
Exactly. And there's tons of like I don't think I included any pictures of it, but there's tons of flashbacks to him and his like dying dad in a room where his dad is just like saying generic like flashback stuff like I'm sorry I couldn't protect you and your grandma, take this ring, it'll protect you. He has the MacGuffin ring. I don't know, it's all bad. And it's like oh god, like oh yeah, here it's like why are you summoning this thing from the ring anyway? Also, you tried to exterminate it, didn't you? It's like, you're pretty odd, and the main character says, I want to save my grandma. Is it really that odd? It's like, this is the only thing this character has in chapter 1 is he wants to save his grandma. That's it. I know nothing else about this character other than he loves his grandma and he wants to save her. That's it. I don't know anything else. It's it's just not great.
Yeah, it really isn't. I completely agree.
Yeah. I'll give them credit here. I think this is a great double page spread. I like the action, and I like on the left side here where you get sort of the monster being cut, and then you just sort of see the hand and the sword, and it kind of does that a couple of times. Although I do think, no, maybe not. I thought that maybe this was just the single, like he drew the hand once and like flipped it a couple of times, but I actually think it might be different drawings each time. But anyways, it's like I think this is a pretty cool one. All right, visual complaints. This page is a mess. I don't know if you'll notice it immediately. But
are you talking about the blurriness or
yes? Well, not necessarily the blurriness because that's like camera depth of field. I think that's okay to represent on a panel. That. But what's happening on the right side is
I had to read through it a few times. Yeah.
So look at the look at sort of the definition of the character drawn in the background and the definition of the character drawn in the foreground, right? There's more detail on the background character than the foreground character. What this is this guy like drew these pieces and then enlarged them on a photo editing software and dropped them in and added some blur, right? And I can tell he did that because there's, let's see if I can find some. There's artifacts here. It's kind of hard to see if you zoom in too much, but there's artifacts around where the pieces of the body should be fully outlined in black, and there's occasional these white pieces, right? Which is you get artifacting from cutting these things out and not fully cutting it out correctly. And it's on like almost every piece. Like I can definitely see it on this sort of this thing in here. Anyways, this is like in a professional manga magazine to have a page that looks like this is like inexcusable in my opinion. we'll talk often about Dan, about how good that guy is at using sort of like photo manipulation, image manipulation type things, like duplicating assets and duplicating real life things. This is basically bad Photoshop. Like, this is on this right hand side panel, this is bad Photoshop. And then on the left side panel, for some reason, we have on this very bottom panel, we have a thing that's just filled in with dots for some reason, which has like never been used previously. Like, and I don't know why. This is like a Photoshop mess on these two pages, which again, this is in Weekly Shonen Jump, the richest manga magazine in Japan. Inexcusable. So, some editor should look at this and be like, the fuck are you doing on this right side page? Awful. Like, you have to be better. Like, this is, there's literally like cutout artifacting things being placed in here, and you can fix this. I could fix this. You could give me these individual pieces and this background page, and I can make this look better. Like, and I'm not that good at Photoshop.
I guess I didn't even notice any of that.
I think a lot of people won't, and that's okay. But for the people who do notice it doesn't.
I do agree.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm like curious as to what this is doing well, because we've been shitting on it for sure, and I think it deserves to be shit on, because I truly can't think of anything I really do like about it.
No, I don't like anything about this.
Positivity time, Bruce. What do you like about this?
Let me see.
And no saying the grandma. We all said it already.
I mean, other than the bad Photoshop in a couple of places, the art is pretty good. I mean, like, because Weekly Shonen Jump always has pretty decent art, right? Like, the art's not bad here. I don't think it's visually interesting or the designs are very good, but like, you know, he's drawn good characters. I think the action is pretty decent, honestly, in the fight scene. I think all the action is drawn pretty well, and you know, good action paneling is worth a lot, especially in Weekly Shonen Jump. The design of the bad guys are pretty okay. I like this guy's kind of interesting, right? Like, I don't know. It's hard when there's so many exorcism, like Tokyo Exorcism manga, to be like, well, there's so many of them, and I've seen so many different versions of Bleach Exorcist manga bad guys in, you know, years of reading manga. It's like, well, this one's slightly above average, but it's not like that great. So,
yeah, I can tell where we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Yeah. For my piece, I like that the guy's stand is like Raizo from Yu Yu Hakusho. It's just that character. It's Yusuke's dad from Yu Yu Hakusho.
I mean, it's also, like you mentioned, we didn't bring this up before, but this is pretty much just like your bog standard Tokyo Exorcism manga with like Jojo stands. Like, but I can guarantee you, and I'm going to get this later, because my one more thing, I've been reading part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable of Jojo, and it's really fucking good. This is like nowhere near as fun or interesting or cool, or the designs don't match up. I don't know. I think we should move on, because there's not much positive to say about this.
I know, and I'm not having fun shitting on it, because it's like, it's just not good. It's bad in every way. I'm surprised it's even made it past like a proof check of any kind. You know?
I'm surprised too, because I don't know. When you come back with your second attempt in Weekly Shonen Jump and it's arguably worse than your first attempt, that doesn't bode well.
I'm struggling to think of a first chapter that's worse. And I even, like, as much as I didn't like Nue's first chapter, even that was better.
I have more positive things to say about Nue. Yeah, I thought the design of that's another Exorcism manga. The design of the bad guy in that one was really cool. Like, really good. I actually really liked the design of the bad guy in that one. But all right, well, let's...
Just an odd showing this time around. Let's move on.
I don't think we'll be talking about any more of this one. I'll read maybe chapter 2 and 3, but I don't think it's going to turn over. So, all right, let's talk about Sakamoto Days.
The real horror manga. The real scary one here.
A real scary one, and some real good interesting. A slight warning, again, if you are sensitive to physical violence in manga form, there will be some panels on screen which show that. This was a very violent chapter.
Yeah, so let me kick this one off. This is Sakamoto Days. It is a manga known for goofy, over-the-top action. This chapter, though, was a horror chapter, and it is paneled like a horror chapter, as you'll see. It's a chapter featuring none of our favorite characters. Actually, maybe someone's, but But one particular kind of infamous character, the senile old man
Yes.
with the katana. He is in the restroom, and assassins are kind of on the hunt, finding any stragglers, killing everyone. And they shoot up his stall right before this scene.
Yeah.
He, through one of the bullet holes, he pulls on one of their noses with his wrinkled old hand. Already scary, and then chops all the stalls in half, including this dude's head up. Sick.
Yeah, it's so good. This guy, I'm trying to think. It's been a while since we've seen this guy in the manga, right? I think the last time we saw him, he was riding in the car.
Cut the Tokyo Tower in half or something.
Yeah, I think the last time we saw him, he was riding in the car with with Osaragi and the other sort of the.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Whatever they're called, the Big Five assassin guys or whatever. But yeah, no, this is very much like shot like a slasher movie in these parts, and then he just like. Dark, like look how dark the corners of the room are like drawn in this panel. It's like this is you said it, like this is literally like horror manga, like a panel right here. And it's
I love this dude.
Yeah, it's also just excellent. Like it's one of those things.
This is a great page too. Yeah,
it's so good. It's so these three panels are so good, and something that we talk about with Sakamoto Days all the time is how good the action paneling is, and it's like very very good, and the style of the action. And this one. He does a thing that I mention in the first video I published on My Great Black about action paneling, where you're supposed to have sort of a like a setup, an impact, and a follow through. But if you skip one of those steps, you can increase sort of the speed at which the action appears to have occurred in. And that's essentially what you get here, right? You get like the old guy's got his hand on his katana, and in the very next panel, like the arm's already flying off, like. You're missing him making the slash, but because of that, you go, oh, he's like so fast. And then while the head is still flying through the air, he's walking by the head in the mirror. It's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
Like that just shows you like how fast, how accurate, how brutal this is. Like it's so good. It's great. And there's no, like once this guy shows up, I don't have all the pages obviously, but like there's not a whole lot of dialogue. Like it's just killing and it's just like visual storytelling and it's so good.
There's not a lot of dialogue because he doesn't really talk to anyone but himself.
I don't think he says anything.
Just murmurs
he
to
murmurs,
himself. And nobody really knows if he can understand them or not because he's so old. But yeah, for context, this particular character may be the most like best killer in Sakamoto Days, manga about killers. It is unknown because this guy he's borderline senile. But
yeah, I think it is. I think it's implied in a way that this guy, even among, because in the last time we saw him, right? Because he's with the other sort of like top 5 kill. I don't remember what they're called. Those like top 5 killers. It's like the rotating saw girl, the hammer guy, and Nagamo. Yeah, it's like those 3 and this guy, and he's like the way that they treat him is like he's a like explosive, and if you like aren't paying attention to him, he will just accidentally kill you. Like I remember in that part, he like cuts the top of their car off, and they all have to like duck under his blade. And to like to cut a car next to them or to stop a bullet or something. I don't remember, but it's like I think it's pretty clear that this guy is like
he 2v1'd our main villains and won.
Yes,
they had to run away.
Yeah, when they fought the JAA, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think this is implied to be potentially the sort of like I don't know how to describe it.
He's like a force of nature more so than a character, Yeah,
and he's like to be like all of our super strong characters, like Sakamoto. Like I am predicting. Well, here we'll keep going and we'll talk about predictions, but the rest. Go ahead with the rest of the chapter.
Yeah. Here we find that Slur, just a bad name to say.
Call him X. Isn't X his other name?
Let's call him X. I don't know. Either way, we find out he actually has a split personality. After killing a cow, he manifested it due to trauma. So I guess we don't really understand how he felt after killing her, or he really didn't want to do it because he manifested the split personality. He put a bounty on Sakamoto because he wants Sakamoto to kill him while that personality is in control. Because the Akao personality doesn't want to live and doesn't want to do terrible things to people. So that's why they put the hit on Sakamoto. So Sakamoto kills Slur /X.
Yeah, /Uzuki is the character's name. But yeah. This is cool because like this ties back to chapter 1 of the manga. Like this kind of the through storyline of all of Sakamoto Days is like who put out this 10 billion hit on Sakamoto? Why are these people after him? We like learned that it was Uzuki X/X like, 100 chapters ago or whatever, but we didn't know why. Because he was in retirement, he wasn't any threat. And now we know, like, this is cool. It's like, okay, the reason this manga started, like in chapter 1, is that this alternate personality manifested and said, I need someone to kill me. And I think the only person who can beat Uzuki is Sakamoto. Like, that was the one person who she knew could do it.
And which she actually referenced in the flashback. So that's cool.
Yeah.
It stays consistent.
Yeah, well, it's also, now that you say that, I didn't even think about that. But because when we're talking about a cow, if we're assuming that this manifestation or mind, whatever it is, if we assume that if it's just as skilled as the older cow, yeah, in that flashback that we talked about months ago, she says, like, someone asked her, like, do you think you could beat Sakamoto? And she's like, with weapons, or no, with like in an empty room with nothing, like, yeah, with just knives, maybe, yes. If there's anything else in the room, Sakamoto wins. So yeah, that's a good callback. I didn't even think about that. But then we get man, it is again. It's so hype at the end of this chapter because you get this like over the loudspeaker at the museum they're at, right? It's like, this is an emergency JA announcement. Like former JA member Kei Uzuki, former Order member Taro Sakamoto, and former Order member Yoichi Nagumo. So they're now, and Nagumo is not a former Order member. He should be a current Order member. This is because the big boss of the Order is like trying to kill all these guys for some reason, right? Which I think is why
it's pettiness. It's pettiness for sure. It's like they knocked him out and had a conversation.
Yeah, they're like ignoring him, and he's like, "I'm the head of the JA." Yeah, his ego is, and I think that's why the old guy showed up. From I think what we're about to see is. But anyways, all are designated.
The dude's company, man. What can you say?
He's
the old guy.
He's been there for 60 years. Not going to betray him now. It says all 3 of those are designated as Class A extermination targets for conspiracy against the JAA. Kill on sight. And we get the reactions of people like Mr. Sakamoto, and then we get the reaction of I can't remember this girl's name.
Osaragi.
Yeah. Osaragi, and and they're like, and the hammer guy, and they're like, Nagumo, like, what's going on? Like, we're part of the JAA. They shouldn't be doing that. And these are the last 2 pages, and this is like, it's so good. I get like chills looking at it because you just see a lower shot of Sakamoto's face looking up, and you see like a glass ceiling. Nagumo looks up and is like, "Uh-oh," and then you get the like, I don't know, this panel where he's
I think this is like the first time you see Nagumo actually worried.
Yeah, one of the and again, these are like the next chapter is gonna be so hype because I'm wondering like. 3v1 versus this guy, like I think someone loses a limb. Like I think Nagumo might die here. Like I think anything could happen. Like this is open book.
Yeah. Like I think this is like like when they're getting chased by the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. I think they just have to like leave at this point. For sure.
I think this is like try to escape with your life now, or like the alternative is death. There's no like, well, maybe we can subdue him. Like I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited to hopefully see Sakamoto fight a swordsman with some kind of improv sword of some kind. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, that would be cool. I will. I like this character because it's like this old guy, because the author conveys him perfectly to the audience. It's like you can't reason with him. You don't know what he understands and what he doesn't understand. You don't understand this character at all. He's a mystery. But he's an amazing killer and will kill. So it's like trying to reason with a grizzly bear. It's better to just leave,
Yeah, well, and it's so interesting. I think everything you said is absolutely right, that it's sort of like he is not really a character. He's more of a force of nature. And the way that he's been presented every time, and even in this chapter, is that he doesn't talk, right? Like everything is done through visual storytelling. And even I think the scenes he's in with other people, I think often there's like, the other characters don't talk a whole lot. There isn't a whole lot of like, oh, that's the old guy, and I know it. Like they aren't like explaining anything that's going on. So all you get to do is see what this force of nature, what this old guy with a sword can do, and that's all all we know about him is what we've seen him do. I think that's such good like visual storytelling for this character.
Absolutely, everything is like everything about his character is action oriented, and it's perfect. What a good chapter.
It's great.
I'm
So
glad we talked.
I'm
I'm glad we brought this one.
Yeah, I'm hyped for Sunday. I think, like I said, I think here's my prediction. My prediction is, I think Nagumo. My top prediction is somebody loses a limb. I think that's a safe bet. Could be Sakamoto, could be Nagumo, could be Usaki. My maybe 50%, my half and half is it's like maybe somebody dies. Like I think Nagumo might just die here. I don't know. We'll see.
I think they keep Nagumo around just to be an outlaw like Sakamoto is.
I don't know. I think that Nagumo dying might serve to kind of team up like Osaragi and the other JAA like top guys with Sakamoto. And I think that's an inevitability at some point in the story. They will all kind of team up. Those other JAA,
sure. They're all kind of friends, right?
Yeah, well, and the Hammer guy and Osaragi, they're never really shown to be bad guys. They've like done some, questionable stuff. The Hammer guy killed what's his name's dad at some point on orders from the
guys
JAA.
Within the context of an assassin story.
Right, for sure. Yeah. But they don't seem like they aren't bad guys in the sense that if Sakamoto's our main character, they're not against him ever, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. They're like the detragonistic force because they get their own mini arcs, and they're generally shown to be reasonable and not insane. Like the other assassins.
They seem like they're smart, they're reasonable, they're sort of kind in the right situations and assassins when they're not being kind. But yeah, so
I'm mostly talking about Nagumo and the Hammer guy. Osaragi is insane. But
she's insane in a cute way.
Yeah, that is true. But she did just kill someone with a saw blade trap through the hole in the floor, and
that was
she's very nuts.
I wish we had talked about that chapter because that was another great panel where she like cuts through the floor and cuts a circle around him and kills that guy and his body parts spray up through the floor.
Yeah, that was great.
Osaragi's great. All the action stuff in Sakamoto Days is just top tier.
Agreed. What a good series. Yeah. If you're not already reading it, really do yourself a favor.
This is one to watch out for. This is where we are due for an anime announcement on this one, and I think the announcement is going to get people in on it. And as long as they get a good enough studio to do this action well, this is going to be like big.
Just don't do it if you can't get a good studio.
Well, and honestly, I think that's what's taking so long. To be honest, I think that honestly they're waiting for one of the they're either spending a ton of time animating it, or getting the right people to animate it, or they haven't had a studio that they think will put in the amount of work that it needs. So. Yeah,
well, good on them. Honestly, wait as long as you need, because there's really no point in doing this unless you get people who can animate action really well.
Yeah, I mean, this is essentially like One Punch Man level of you need a team as good as One Punch Man Season 1 to really do justice to Sakamoto Days.
I think the Kaiju 8 people, from the trailer, I haven't seen the show itself, actually. It's out now, but...
I haven't watched it, but I saw some clips. It looks good.
Anyone who can do slick animation like that, I think... Yeah. I think the Kaiju 8 folks, the Fulikuli folks, aka, they could get a good grasp on this, because Sakamoto is fluid, but like a little rough at the same time. So I think that fits that aesthetic pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Anyway, anything else on Sakamoto Days? Are we good to occupy the next 3.5 hours with talking about One Piece?
Hell yeah, brother.
This is
what a good chapter.
Oh yeah, this is a big one. This is chapter 1113 of One Piece. Yeah, and we see true Vegapunk at the start, which I guess is our first kind of big reveal. There's a couple of huge reveals in this chapter.
Real quick, I'll give like a 20-second recap of how we got here.
Yeah, do it.
Basically, they got to Egghead, which is Vegapunk's area. We already talked about all that. We went through the murder mystery plot. One of the elders shows up through a hell summoning circle, seemingly. And Luffy and them start fighting. We get Bonnie's flashback, which we talked about. And then after that, all the other elders get summoned through also similar means. And they neutralize all the pacifistas, which are working for Bonnie at this point through Vegapunk's shenanigans. And Vegapunk has been foreshadowing an announcement he's going to make to the whole world for like the last 5 chapters, and now we're finally getting the announcement. And the elders are desperately trying to stop the announcement from going out.
Yeah.
And that's where we are.
Yeah, that's where we are. And this is I don't remember all the elders' names, but this is one of the elders looking for Vegapunk is broadcasting that he's going to tell some secrets, and the world government and the elders are all very worried about that. As we'll learn a little bit later in the chapter, that it has to do with Ohara and the Void Century and all that kinds of stuff. But this guy, in looking for the where that broadcast is coming from, stumbles across what we can kind of assume to be the actual main brain of Vegapunk. It's called Punk Records, and it's enormous. I don't know if you can see, but there is a little guy down here, and this is the size of it. And Vegapunk's brain is like 7 stories high, like enormous.
Can I be honest with you? This is gonna sound so stupid. When I read this afternoon, I thought that was a carrot. I'm just not realizing.
Down. No, that's his. I'm pretty sure, right? Like that's his head.
That's his brain. That's his head.
It looks like his head
totally right.
in the normal way. So
you're 100% right. That is just his gigantic noggin, his Jimmy Neutron-esque head.
Yeah. I think this also shows that So I think what this is that we see the main Vegapunk has the little missing gap in his head, right? Where he has this. He essentially removed
got too
that.
Big to lug around.
Yeah, which is interesting because what I thought was like, oh yeah, he like cut up his brain into 7 pieces and made all the little his other Vegapunks or whatever. No, he made Punk Records, which I think is connected to probably and running all of the other Vegapunks in some way, or maybe not. I don't know.
Through the cloud.
Yes,
they're all just connected via Wi-Fi.
It's
to
just
the
a big server.
Bank.
Yeah. But we get, I didn't cut them all out because there was a bunch of them, but a lot of the pages of this are sort of the Vegapunk getting ready to kind of tell his secrets, bare his soul. And we get flashes to a bunch of we see Syrup Village here in the bottom left. I know we see Morgan's being like, what about print media? Like in one little panel. That's really funny.
Yeah, that was great.
That's really good. And we see like the place where Chopper trained during the 2-year break and stuff like that. But
even funnier, we see the place where Vegapunk's hometown. Where Frankie trained, and they're like, "Didn't Vegapunk like destroy this place?" They're like, "No, that was Frankie."
Like, no, he
I heard he's like he turned into a ship.
Yeah, which is like,
move past it.
Which is hilarious. Okay. Yeah,
that's great. Yeah.
But yeah, lots of interesting stuff here. We see the elders here, and they say this won't be a repeat of Clover. He means to finish what Ohara started. And do you know what this little middle panel here is about with this? I don't remember where this is from.
This is the massacre of Ohara.
Is that just an Ohara flashback thing? Okay.
I think this is them killing the lead scientist.
Okay.
The lead scholar of Ohara. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to go back and remember what he looks like.
That makes sense.
But I think that's it.
Yeah. That would line up with what they're saying here about like finishing what they started in Ohara and stuff like that. The Straw Hats go meet up with Bonnie. Bonnie does a cool time move where she steps. I liked this because I don't remember which elder this is, but Sanji comes in and sort of like kicks the sword away to save Bonnie. And then the sort of half horse guy turns his top half into a horse and bites him. Like that's just like it's so One Piece to be like, oh yeah, he's like a centaur, like body of a man, like top body of a man, bottom body of a horse. And just like, nope, full horse, full demon horse bites Sanji.
I love that.
Yeah.
I forgot what his name is, but this is the warrior god of finance.
Yes.
I just thought that was so funny. I remember it.
This isn't Peter. This isn't Jupiter guy, I think, right? Is this
Jupiter? No, this is like Warcury or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is Warcury. I don't remember. We'll have to look him up. But yeah, and again, the whole background of this chapter is kind of peppered with this sort of confession video that's being broadcast out from Vegapunk. He's like, I confess that I've committed 2 grave sins. And he talks about all this. Yeah, here's some flashes to like Sabaody Archipelago. Oh yeah, I did put it in here. It's like, hey, what's the big idea with this massive broadcast? Is he trying to kill print media? Which Morgan's is great. It's like one of my favorite super side characters.
I love that, and I love how Caesar and Germa are just like kind of in collaboration trying to outdo Vegapunk.
Yeah.
Except in war crimes.
I
don't think they could do either. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually, now that you bring that up, it's so funny to see like you see Germa 66 like show up and Whole Cake and stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, they have some pretty advanced technology. And now that we've like been on Egghead for like almost 2 years, it's like No, their technology is nowhere near what Vegapunk's doing. Like
Yeah,
Vegapunk is
yeah.
like far, far, far and away much more advanced than anyone else is even close to in the One Piece world.
Truly, I don't. I'm surprised they have ships in that world at this point, given that Vegapunk has a floating city and like holograms and all that shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that it also just speaks to what an interesting character Vegapunk is that he doesn't really care about building a better boat. He cares about like making a machine that dispenses food and making, like transponder snails that do this. And he wants to research all these weird things. And he doesn't really care about like, well, we should be using planes or whatever, right? Like that's not what he's interested in.
Yeah, and even earlier is like we know Vegapunk cares about ethics, but like to an extent, right?
Yeah.
Before that, he's just always progressing science forward, regardless, regardless of what it means for humanity. And I like that. That's a cool spin on the character.
It is, and it makes him, to take a generic term, it makes him a little more of a gray character than an all good or all bad character, right? It's like, oh, well,
Definitely.
we see what he did, like Punk Hazard and stuff like that. Although that's, I think, maybe not directly attached to him, but he's messed up. And obviously, as we're going to see, interesting at the bottom of this page is, and I saw a lot of people talking about this in comments and stuff, was Vegapunk says in this flashback, he says, I want to make one thing clear, and I pray you understand this. Please do not assume that the ones who strike me down are evil, which I think is more evidence that Kizaru is, on the path to changing sides or just, not going to go around along with the world government much longer. And I think we saw that in the last 2 chapters also. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. I figured. Okay, I mistakenly thought that he recorded this previous to meeting Luffy/Joy Boy and thought that his head would roll from that angle. Okay, no, Kizaru makes so much more sense.
I think it's that
right.
too. I think he did record it prior to meeting all of them, I believe. But I think this, it could maybe serve dual purposes, right? Is that he doesn't want.
I think what you said makes more sense.
I think that makes sense
right.
from a meta storytelling. Like as a reader reading it, that's what I think we're meant to think. I think from sort of an in-story standpoint, he's like, hey, the world government might blame this on the Straw Hat Pirates, but I'm telling you right now that you should not blame them for what's going to happen to me. Because I think in story that also makes sense. So I think it's serving 2 purposes here, which, good writing. So
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we get, leave us alone.
We got Saturn trying to kill Nico Robin.
Yes, this is another thing that a lot of people are talking about. That Nico Robin, at the bottom of this page, the last sort of third is kind of what I want to focus on. The Nico Robin knows the voice of this guy here, and it's like she has a flashback to Ohara. I think when it's being attacked, because you can see the tree in the background when she's younger.
Right.
And he's like, this is. Which one is this? Is Mercury?
This is Saturn.
Saturn. Yeah. Saturn says you must be Nico Robin, the woman Akainu let slip through his fingers, that impotent fool. And she's like, oh my gosh, he's one of the 5 elders. And also this kind of paints Akainu in a worse light. I guess he was never in a good light, but this kind of goes to show that it's like,
he doesn't even have the respect of the side he's on, kind of thing. Right?
Well, and it's more like we sent him to kill everybody, and he messed it up. There wasn't like he showed pity or let her go or let people go because he was nice or kind. It was like, oh, he fucked up. He was trying to kill everybody, and he missed one.
I don't, and for what it's worth, that's not on Akainu's competency. It's just that the Straw Hats are that good.
Oh yeah, true.
But earlier, we also see Akainu having to bend to the whim of a celestial dragon, showing that the government job he finally got is not what it's kind of cracked up to be, right?
Yeah.
The superiors still don't respect him, and he still needs to kind of bend to the will of nepotism. I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting line.
And then we get this awesome spread that, again, hammers home and solidifies how good the Straw Hat crew is, where they, this is immediately after the previous page we saw, and they're sort of like, what is Saturn talking about? And then Nami's just like, protect Robin, and Saturn attacks, and all of the Straw Hat crew literally jumps in front of these attacks to Nami tackles Robin, Chopper like tanks an attack. Yeah, everybody's in here doing their stuff. It's great. It's just one things, but it's like, oh yeah, the Straw Hat Crew is great. In case you've forgotten, which you probably haven't, they're awesome, and this is a cool reinforcement of that.
They instantly even like they know what to do, and they're the weakest three of the Straw Hat Crew, right?
Yeah,
like,
this is
the Chopper, Robin. No, sorry, Chopper, Nami, Usopp.
Yeah, they're the I don't remember what they're called, the weak three, something like that. But
yeah, that's what Usopp called them after the flashback. But yeah, they are like. It's cool. The Straw Hat. This is why they're still around. They're fucking tight, bro.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then, all right, big spoilers. If you haven't read the chapter, the next page is the big reveal, and it's going to be hard to say. At the end of this broadcast, we get to Vegapunk, who says, "I'm just gonna read this." He says, "I'll cut to the chase." He says, "Our world is going to sink into the ocean." And that is the end of the chapter. We get the Marines. The Marines hear it and they say, "What?" And then we get an end. And this,
that's cool.
It has been foretold. This has been foreshadowed, obviously. There are references, I believe, in Water 7. They talk about rising water levels. And there's a couple of other instances I know that I saw in the Reddit comments saying things like, giving examples where people are talking about like, oh yeah, like the sea rose up in X, Y, and Z. I think Wano is an example, right? Where the sea rose up and like separated those islands that previously were connected. So this is not like people were, maybe I had seen a couple of theories, maybe kind of like mention this, but it was not made a big a deal as it is in this chapter. As like, this is like, this is shown to be like a big deal. Like it's a big reveal that like our world is sinking into the ocean. Like we're all going to be underwater like pretty soon.
It is a big deal because their world is the ocean. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's I don't know. There's I guess like there's so much web to spin on that. It's like one, it makes Shirahoshi and Fisherman Island so much more valuable. But
yes, and I think that's part of. I also think it's in part of the. Isn't like the boat called the Ark in Fishman Island?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So that
the one
that's
that
like
Vanderdecken throws, yeah. And on top of that, we have all of Egghead is like based on gravity and floating technologies, and that explains a lot of that. We've had pages. I've seen the panels that foreshadowed rising tides and all that. It's just very cool. I wonder what it means and why it's happening in regards to like Im and the devil fruit, right? Which is the enemy of the ocean, and devil fruit being natural enemies of each other, right? I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, it also
mean so many things.
Yeah, it also gives a little bit of credibility to the theory that Emu, because the big bad's name is like IMU. That's translated as Im or Emu, but that's backwards of Umi, right? Which is the word for sea in Japanese. So
I think know.
Yeah, so the word for sea in Japanese is Umi, and I think that's, if you reverse those, it's just Imu. So I think there's a connection there. I think that there's possibly, I think what you pointed out about the devil fruits being sort of the enemy of the sea is interesting. I wonder if this is going to be sort of like, is Emu like the one raising the ocean to destroy the world because they're like the embodiment, like some kind of spirit, god, power of the ocean type thing, and the devil fruits exist to fight against that, and that's what we're going to see? Or I don't know. It's very interesting. Lots of places this could go.
This is all speculation because there's no evidence supporting it, and I have no idea what Oda will do. But I think it's the opposite, where, I could see this being an analogy for global warming in a way. And you know how the Earth eventually will correct itself. It's just really humanity that faces consequences here, right? It could be that Emu being so long-lived, and if they are the source of devil fruit, like stated, the world could just be trying to get rid of that altogether by flooding everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on if this is an analogy for global warming and what Oda really wants.
I don't know if that's necessarily all that it is. I think that could be it. I think it's more, this strikes me more of a, because the bad guys we've known in the past, right? The world government, the celestial dragons, the five elders, those are all sort of like people in power. And that, like, One Piece strikes me very much as sort of a fight against the man, fight against the people in power, like, liberate the little guy, the underdog story in a way, quote unquote.
Mhm.
This feels more like it's a representation of the fact that your oppressors, right? These people who rule the world aren't just going to march into your town and slaughter everyone all the time. Like it's a slow, steady rising tide where they take little from you day after day, and eventually you're underwater, right? Like I think that
Mm.
that's the sort of analogy that's lining up for me in this. Is that this is why I think that Emu is using the sea to do this, because it seems to strike the same chord for me in that your oppressors are going to slowly oppress you until you're underwater and you didn't even realize, right? That what's the analogy?
To be honest, that could make sense too. That could make sense too,
Yeah.
because the devil fruit is only spread because of Cobra's ancestor that spread it without him wanting that to happen, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it could be flooding the world to get rid of all devil fruit users and reset it. But who knows? Who knows? These
Yeah,
just
I don't know.
theories.
It's fun. It's fun to speculate about. But
Yeah.
I do think
Do you know what this mother flame that this pig guy, the pig elder over here, is mentioning is?
so. The mother flame is the thing that destroyed that island right before.
Oh, the weapon, the laser.
It's either the weapon or it's what powers the weapon. I don't remember. It destroyed, what was it, Lulusia Island, I think, where we thought
Got it,
Sabo
yeah.
was, or Sabo like just
Right.
escaped it. That was like right before Egghead. I believe that's what that was.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean this
Yeah.
it's also really interesting to think about the role of the Fishman in all this. Like a lot of people, I think Fishman Island, I know for me especially, for the post time skip arcs, Fishman Island is probably my least favorite, but it kind of has continually come back to be like one of the most important ones, like over and over again.
For sure.
Just with Shirahoshi is clearly important because she's, which one is she? Neptune, Pluto?
Oh, yeah, I
One of
think
those.
it's Neptune
I
or
think
Poseidon. It's Poseidon.
Poseidon. There you go. Yeah. She's important for that reason. I think we're learning that the reason that it's called Noah, or the Ark, I don't know which was, like the big ship. The reason that was created, is that a Void Century thing? Do we know? I think it is. If I
don't
remember
remember.
right.
Yeah,
It would line up because
I recall.
it maybe makes sense for me that maybe the Void Century was a time. Here's my hit into deep into left field. If Emu was in control, or maybe rose to control during or right before the Void Century, the Void Century could be a time where the world was submerged in water at some point, and then the water receded, and that's kind of where we get modern. And the reason it was erased is because if people realize that, hey, in the past the water levels rose and it like almost killed everybody off, or was some massive catastrophe, they would look at all these other, we got all these hints about like Wano's more underwater, the rising tides in Water 7 and stuff like that. They would be like, oh, well, this happened 7,000 years ago, so it's probably happening again, so we need to get ready for that end of the world. But if they erase the Void Century, nobody knows that it's coming, the water level rises, wipes people out, or controls people. Yeah, that's maybe my prediction here, is that the Void Century was a time.
Maybe the robot's waterproof. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I could see it. I could see that theory, just because the poneglyphs are all carved in stone instead of any kind of paper being used, right? So
Yeah, they can exist underwater. And one of them
Yeah.
does, I guess, technically. The one from Fishman Island just is
Fishman
underwater.
Isle, yeah.
Yeah.
And like all of them are like that. So I could see that theory too.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's fun speculating. Truly, we're probably wrong on all of our theories. But
Yeah, I mean, of all the theories I read about like what's going to be revealed by Vegapunk, like I don't know if I read a single one that said like, well, he's just going to tell everybody that the world of One Piece, a world that we know is covered primarily in ocean, that is run by pirates and the Marines. He's just going to tell people that our world's going to sink into the ocean, and that's going to be the big reveal. So yeah, Oda continually surprises. This is also something I know a lot of people have said, but Oda has. We know, I think, from a lot of the editors that have done interviews who have been Oda's editor, of like, oh, did he tell you the ending of the One Piece, or of One Piece? And they're like, oh yeah, he told me the end. So Oda has known what the end of One Piece is going to be, I think, before he wrote the majority of the middle of it.
oh, he's known from the start.
Yeah,
He said so. Yeah.
essentially, yeah. In so many words, he is known from the start, which makes sense because yeah, there's all this foreshadowing about the rising tides and stuff. Which yeah, we're like, I'm not, we're in the end game now. I'm not going to say it, but this is a piece of the puzzle that I think is going to unlock a lot more things, and I think stuff's going to start falling into place even more. Like all the things we've learned on Egghead have been like, oh yeah, stuff's starting to fall into place. More stuff's falling into place. This makes sense. We're just getting answers in One Piece now. There's not a whole lot of questions left, and it's so satisfying to read.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It's like I'm we stuck through like the decades of questions because it's still fucking compelling. Oda's just that good. But now that we're getting the answers, it's like even better, right? It's like a payoff that's decades long in production. It's like I don't know. This is the ultimate payoff. It feels like because of the time investment and the quality of the writing, of course. But like we've been on this train for a while, and we're finally reaching the station. You know?
Yeah, yeah, it's excellent to read. So, I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, anything else strike you in this chapter or?
No, of course, I have a million other things to talk about, but I'm being considerate of the people who are patiently waiting for us to be done talking about this. So,
Absolutely.
let's move forward. We love One Piece, so truly, there's like another 2 hours of talking we could do
Yeah, and
on
I'm.
fucking One
This
Piece.
is
But
yeah. Next week is a break in Weekly Shonen Jump, so no One Piece chapter. I think this is a great thing to drop and then give people 2 weeks to speculate and theorize about it. Yeah, my guess is ours is probably not the only video you're going to click on that's going to be talking about One Piece this week. And yeah, so
I,
hopefully we
I
presented some ideas here that are
I'd
new
argue
or
One
different.
Piece is so popular at this point that people probably don't even want to hear us talk about it. But
Yeah, who knows?
it's
We'll see.
it's 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 so no, but I don't care. Like I have too much fun talking about it.
It's
One
great,
Piece is my favorite
and it's
manga, and
so yeah, it's built
the day
so
I stop
well.
talking is the day we stop doing this.
Yeah, it's built so well from the ground up. From I mean, like knowing the end from the start means that like someone is going to go and there's going to be a Reddit post the next day or two to be like, I went through all of One Piece and found all the references to rising tides in the past, 1112
I'm
chapters.
sure. Yeah.
And it's going to be everywhere. I guarantee you, like, because Oda's that good. It's going to be like, oh, by the way, this was like hinted at a ton. You missed it. I've seen some of the more obvious ones already pointed out. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to read what people get up to that have more time than me to read and make Reddit posts and Twitter
To
posts.
peruse the archives. Yeah. Agreed.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, I guess that's it for One Piece. Let's talk about some news and things that have happened. We got we finally got a compilation announcement here of the top 50 manga sales of 2023. We'll go through kind of the top 10. Nothing super surprising here. All of this makes a lot of sense. A lot of it is very similar to 2022, I would say. Yeah, so this is for last year for 2023. Top 10, counting down from number one. Blue Lock with about 10 million sales. Jujutsu Kaisen, 8.5 million. One Piece, 7 million and change. Oshinoko, 5.5 million. Chainsaw Man, about a little under, about 5.5 million. Slam Dunk at 5. Spy Family, 4 and change. My Hero Academia, 3.5. Tokyo Revengers, 3. Kingdom, 3. So I think those top 10, I think Blue Lock rose, and I think Jujutsu Kaisen maybe was number one in 22. But those are, I think all of those, maybe not Oshinoko might have also rose up, but most of those were in the top 10 the year before.
Yeah. I think one thing to note is that these sales figures make sense. They're like the same as last year. But
Yeah.
I think Spy Family is, and Oshinoko to maybe a little bit of a lesser extent, is more valuable as an IP than the sales might lead you to believe. Like
Spy Family for sure. And My Hero too,
I
I
saw
would say.
so much. I'd say Spy Family even more so, and
Yeah.
I say that because I saw so much goddamn Anya merchandise everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Like it was in every store adjacent to anime. There's a Anya section. I think it sells so much merch that despite being number 7, I think it is probably one of the most profitable manga IPs
I would bet. And
of
it's,
the
yeah,
year.
it definitely, because it's one of those family things where your little, your little girl can get an Anya thing, and the boys can like Lloyd or Yor or whatever. And yeah, it just has like such. It's hit on the same. It's a Disney property essentially, right? It's hitting on that same sort of like this is for everybody. Adults can like this. Kids can like this.
It's like going to watch Endgame. Like
Yeah, exactly.
it's not similar to Endgame, but it is similar in that it's for all ages.
For all ages,
So,
appeals to everybody, all sexes, all genders, all that jazz.
yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We do get Frieren at 11, which is interesting. The Frieren anime premiered at the end of 2023, so in, I guess, fall season. It's interesting that it made it so high. I think it's cool that Frieren was decently high the year before. I want to say it was maybe top 30, top 20, but being there at number 11 from the anime premiering, yeah, and really good anime
We see
too.
Apothecary Diaries, always popular, but
Yep,
they
again
both
boosted.
got the anime bump.
Yep. It's interesting to me to see Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun at 14. That feels
The manga's
incredibly.
great.
I guess I need to check it out because that feels incredibly high for a series that I like barely hear or see people talking about, like in the West.
Yeah,
At least.
I don't see a lot of people talking about it either, but it is it's genuinely good. Even though it got a cheap anime adaptation, even
Yeah.
that was charming in its own way. Yeah, it's just it deserves to be up there. It's just solid.
Yeah.
Sakamoto Days getting there with no anime
Yeah, right above.
I think should show something though.
I think that
you know?
that's why I think we were like I was saying earlier. Like I think Sakamoto Days is going to be when we get the anime. It's going to be up here.
That's just gonna
Jujutsu
pop off,
Kaisen
yeah.
Blue Lock levels, right? Like it's already selling, 1.5 million units, and it's at number 17. Like it's easy top 1-2 when it gets a good anime. Mashal finishing out kind of its final run, final year, final anime. Well, I think there's maybe one more anime season, but they're at 18. My Dress Up Darling appearing pretty high. I would not expect this to be a 1 million unit selling top 30 thing, but there it is.
I forgot about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's still really good. Honestly, the art that's I guess currently ongoing or maybe last completed is easily I think the best part of the whole story. Really,
good to hear. Good to hear that it's so it deserves to be up there from what it sounds like.
Yeah, I think this is also because I believe in 2023 they got season 2 of the anime. Maybe happened, or maybe it was just residing off of maybe early in the year the anime premiered. I don't remember.
We see Shangri-La getting the anime bump. Good to see. Pretty good.
Yep, Demons of the Shadow Realm, always happy, is up there. No anime for
Nice.
that. 8.5 or 800,000 there.
The fragrant flower blooms with dignity, aka Apology Wars.
Yeah.
Is at number 37.
Yeah, surprised to
I
see.
apologize for that.
Yeah, so Demon Slayer in I think it was 2021 or 2020 was the where the anime premiered and it like massively blew out. Everything hit number 1 for the first time over One Piece. Demon Slayer still remains like in top 40.
And it's over. It's been over.
It's been over for like 3 years now. Yeah, and there's no. I guess maybe is the anime still premiering? I don't know. I guess maybe it had a movie again. I don't keep up with it.
Yeah, I don't really know, but yeah, you're right. It's it ended in May 2020, so it's been 4 years now, and it's still selling 750K,
which is crazy. I mean, but that just shows, and I think Shueisha's just happy to keep printing it. Uma Musume Cinderella Grey also 41 here. That's something that we see when we used to do a bunch more sales figure stuff. That concept, I'm gonna read this. Like at some point I'm gonna read Uma Musume Cinderella Grey. Someone's gonna tell me where to start because I have no idea where to start. There's so many different versions of Uma Musume. But yeah. Other than that, Jojo is still showing up 46. That's still publishing. Golden Kamuy ended in 2022. And its anime is not ongoing, but it had live action movies, so that's still getting bumped there. The Summer Hikaru died coming in at number 50. Yeah, I mean it's again pretty predictable, but lots of good stuff on here. If you're looking for something to just say, hey, what should I be reading? I think all of these are pretty much worth your time if you can find them. So,
I think we might be the only manga podcast that talks about like manga like The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity and not even acknowledge Dragon Ball Super being on this list.
Oh yeah, who cares? Like I also just
you can't say who cares so soon after Toriyama's death.
Well, I don't know. Dragon Ball Super was barely tangentially related to Toriyama.
Get the hate comments in. Blame Bruce for this. He's the one who did this.
I would not attribute what happens in Dragon Ball Super much to Toriyama. I think he had a little bit of editorial control. and maybe he wrote some of it, but from what I understand, that's pretty much in the new author's hands.
Dragon Ball Super's not really that bad. It's fine. It's dumb just like Dragon Ball was. But speaking of Toriyama stuff, Sandland, the game came out, by the way.
Oh yeah, that's right. It did yesterday.
Yeah, it looks cool. It looks unique for it has the Toriyama art style we all love, and it looks unique. It's not just a fucking platform fighter like all anime games.
Yeah, it's like an open world vehicle, like Switch vehicle fighter thing. And apparently it's way sort of expanded from the manga. There's like new characters and new stuff. I think most of it, if not all of it, was directly from Toriyama. So
someone who's played it, let us know how it is. Seems cool.
Yeah, I'm super interested to check it out. All right, let's see. Up next on the news, we've got oh yes, My Senpai is Annoying is ending with the next volume. We got that confession I think last week, so it's a little disappointing. That's sort of that's the one with the very small
could
senpai.
You throw a picture up of it real quick.
I'll find it.
That name is so generic that I don't think
it is.
People
it
know
is.
what
Yeah,
we're talking about.
you'll recognize it when you see it. It's let's see. It is these two.
Yeah, it's a short coworker, tall senpai,
tiny senpai, big dude. It's that one. We got a confession for that last week, and it's over in like 6 chapters.
Have you read any of that?
It's one of those ones where I feel like I can dip in and out and be like, yes, another funny, awkward situation between two people who clearly like each other and are not dating. So,
I've read like 80 chapters of it. I can't tell you what happened. Like, I don't think anything happened.
I think it's
it's
just a cute slice of life type thing. I don't think.
I guess that's just not my thing.
It is pretty popular, at least on. So.
Got it.
All right, up next. So the Golden Kamuy live-action films are coming to Netflix. I'm actually pretty excited for this. These films, I think, were like top grossing in Japan maybe last year. I saw like trailers for the second movie when I was in Japan in December. They look pretty like decently high quality, and I think that Golden Kamuy translates pretty well to live action, even though I think manga obviously is the best way to see it. I'm interested to check these out because I've heard that they're really good. I've heard Japan really likes them. I think Satoru Noda, the author in general, has given his endorsement of them. So those will just be on Netflix coming soon. I think there's 2 of them right now, and there's maybe a 3rd or a 4th one coming out soon.
I can't really muster any excitement for live action anime or manga.
Yeah, who knows?
I think you're right that Golden Kamuy, if anything, translates pretty well. And for those who like it, if it's good, hey, more power to you. But I don't know, Bruce. It's just like I feel like I've already gotten the thing I wanted, and
no, yeah, for sure.
Like a live action just feels like an extra that I don't feel like going through.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's definitely how I feel. Like I don't think I'm going to watch it, but I'm interested to see if people talk about it and be like, oh, this is a really good adaptation and it's a really good movie, and be like, good. I'm happy.
Yeah.
But no,
you're happy that the author is getting their works published in a good way, right? Or
yeah,
like recreated in a good way.
Yeah, I read Golden Kamuy on my trip to Japan last December, and it's amazing. And so yeah, I don't necessarily need it, but like having a good live action adaptation of anime is always good. I've heard this one's pretty good.
Yeah, clearly it influenced the sales numbers, so that's cool. And speaking of which, you see Fallout 4 sales numbers after the Fallout show.
Oh, are people actually buying it?
Oh, like it's top seller. Yeah.
Really? That's crazy.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
I downloaded it and tried to play it again, and I was like, yep, no, I'm fine. The show was great though. So.
But yeah, all to say is live actions do matter, and there's like a big audience for them. So
yeah, a much larger audience than more people to capture there than will watch anime or read manga. So we got another ended manga, a pretty big one, honestly. Land of the Lustrous, also called Hoseki no Kuni. That has ended with the last chapter published this week. I think it's like 108, 100, something like that. This is one where the anime is done by Studio Orange, the 3D studio. I watched the first season of the anime. I think it's wonderful. It's easily, if you're going, oh no, 3D anime, those are bad. Everything Studio Orange does is good. Studio Orange does Hoseki no Kuni, Beastars. They did Trigun, Badlands Rumble. Stampede, yeah. I want to say Badlands Rumble, but that's the movie.
Yeah, that's a good one too, though.
Yeah, I mean, the original Trigun anime, I think, is really pretty good too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another sad one that's ending. I think that went out on its own terms, on its own time. I've been hearing the ending is good and appropriate. Awesome. Happy to hear that.
Me too.
Let's see. The summer Hikaru died. has an announcement on June 4th. We saw that was down there at, I think, number 50 on the top 50 list. We've talked about that. Man, we talked about that sometime last year, and I don't remember when.
Yeah. It's during. It was a while ago. It was when we read the Darwin Awards.
Yeah,
This one
yeah.
also won one. Or Darwin Experiment.
Yes.
But yeah, I read like a few chapters of this. It was pretty
It's
good.
good. It's really good. Yeah, I need to catch up on it. I'm definitely behind, probably by about a year now. I'm assuming this is going to be an anime adaptation, which I think is good. I think this is a good series. It's interesting. It's kind of a weird eldritch horror slice of life buddy thing. I don't know
Yeah,
where it was
that
going
was
when I
that was
stopped
a
reading
cool
it.
spin.
Yeah, it's a
I
very neat
feel like
spin.
I don't know how much you've read. I haven't given it enough of a crack to form an opinion. Uh, because it seems like one of these things that compound on itself in an
Yes,
interesting way.
I agree.
So
Yeah, I think I
yeah,
read maybe like 11 or 14 chapters were out when I read, and I caught all the way up. Maybe a little bit more, maybe like 16 or so. But yeah, it definitely felt like it was building, but it hadn't built to a point where I can be like, oh, it's given me a payoff, and I'm into it now. But it definitely, yeah, it's got that kind of uneasy small town horror vibe underneath it. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see it. I think that announcement will probably be an anime or maybe a movie or something. So
yeah,
all right, last piece of news is Shadows Eliminators ended. Nobody cared. Moving on.
yeah. Every time you bring it up, it's just like I just remember in that moment it exists, and then I forget
Yeah.
again.
Yep. I know that's another one of those Exorcist manga that just doesn't really matter.
It's kind of fucking crazy how many of those we mentioned it off the top how many Exorcist mangas there are, but there are so many,
I don't.
so
We
many.
we have not had a wave of manga since I've started just sort of like reading Weekly Shonen Jump in the past like 4 years now. I guess 4 or 5 years. I don't think we've had a wave like a set of new premiered manga that did not include at least one Exorcist manga in it.
They're a
Every
borderline
single one of them
Exorcist.
has one.
They're an Exorcist magazine at this point, right? Like,
Well, and
it,
here's the sad thing is that the two most popular recent hits Weekly Shonen Jump has had, as far as Weekly Shonen Jump, the actual magazine, are Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer, and so they are not going to change. Trying to figure out what their next. Those are both Exorcist action manga, right? And they are not going to
yeah,
change what they're looking for because those two, made them big bucks. So they're going to keep looking for it. I don't know. I think that they need to realize that people are tired of it now. Like, I'm tired of it. Are other people tired of it? If you liked Demon Slayer and you liked Jujutsu Kaisen and you were really into those, are you not tired of it by now? I'm wondering. Those are the people I want in the comments.
I don't know. It's like it's puzzling to me, right? It's like if I love Campbell's chicken noodle soup, I'm not going to go out there and every day of every week buy a different brand of chicken noodle soup. And
Right.
it's like I already have the Campbell's. I know what I like. Now show me different things for the other days, right? Like I feel like I don't know. They're not taking risks, is what it feels like when I see another one of these Exorcist things.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah, for
resting
sure.
in their laurels, and I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they'll
Yeah,
find.
I guess
I hope.
we'll see.
I hope that. I think. Here's what I hope we see. I hope we see Sakamoto Days, Akane Banashi, Blue Box. Those animes are coming up, right? Like, not we haven't got an announcement for Akane or Sakamoto, but they're coming. They're popular enough. They're going to get one. Blue Box is coming. Honestly, all of the best things Weekly Shonen Jump has done, in my opinion, now not the most necessarily the most selling things, which is a different category. All the best things are not Exorcist Shonen action manga, right? Like Blue Box, Akane Banashi, Sakamoto Days, One Piece. One Piece has been going on forever. But like those three to me are like fairly new. Like in the last 3 or 4 years, they don't have an anime or haven't gotten one yet. That's what I want to see Weekly Shonen Jump do more of. Is like Akane. We've talked about it. Is structured like a standard kind of shonen sports manga, but it's not. Like
Mm-hmm.
and it's better for it. So I hope we see them trying more things like that, where it's like, oh, this is about X thing, but it's structured like a shonen action, or it's structured like a shonen sports manga, or something like that. But it's a different, topic or a different angle or a different thing, or I don't know, or just find better writers to write your Exorcist manga. Just do that. Maybe that'll fix it.
I think they are just looking for another an explosive surge of revenue,
Yeah,
akin to when Demon Slayer was popular, and they're
I
getting
mean,
it
yeah, and chasing
from
that
Jujutsu
money is
Kaisen.
as a
Yeah,
company, it makes sense.
but their Jujutsu Kaisen is wrapping up, So they need, and they're making a ton of money from JJK. So they
Yeah.
need a band-aid or another demon ghost killing hit to kind of take its place. Maybe that's God. What's the one I don't like called this magic sword guy?
New Age
Uh,
Exorcist or
uh, no, it's the new one. Other people like it. It got like really big on Twitter.
Kagurabachi. Yeah.
Kagurabachi, yeah. I
Honestly,
think
maybe
Kagurabachi
Kagurabachi's
might be next in
not
line.
Kagurabachi is not strictly an Exorcist manga, which is why I like it more for that. I think Kagurabachi is pretty okay. Like honestly, Kagurabachi I think has enough broad wide appeal that I think that if it gets to anime, if it lasts long enough to get to an anime, I think it would be pretty popular. I don't think it'll be on the level of a Jujutsu Kaisen, but I don't know because I haven't fully read
I don't
Jujutsu
think
Kaisen. So
unless they have the ability to capture a female audience the way Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen do,
yeah,
then no way,
they
no way,
might.
no.
It's possible.
But
I not right
yeah,
now. I don't think there's not enough of those sort of like hot, cool, mysterious male characters that the girls all love in Kagurabachi, but maybe. I think it's possible. I think
you know what?
that's a
With
good
with
call out.
Gojo, I get it. He is hot, and I dig his personality. I
He's fun, yeah.
understand. I understand why he appeals to the female audience and the male audience. Like
Yeah.
that's just a good character right there. But either way, we'll see. We
Yep,
will
we'll
see
see.
what the next replacement for JJK is.
Yep. I don't as far as Exorcist manga, I don't think it's anything being published right now. Honestly, it might be Nue's Exorcist if we're talking about it. I think that is
God,
probably the Exorcist manga that is going to come up next.
fucking exercise me, dude.
All right, let's do one more thing. I mentioned earlier, so I'll go first here. I have been reading JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, the second half. So I watched the first half of this in the anime, and I liked it. It's a little procedural for me. Wasn't loving it. I'd heard, of course, that the second half they introduce Yoshikaga Kira, who is widely regarded as one of, if not the best bad guys in JoJo. So I said, all right, I'm going to read it. I found they have a full official colored, I don't know if it's only digital version. I think it might only be digital. But there's a full official colored version of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4 that I've been reading that has been really, really fun and really good. I'm actually liking this a lot. I've been reading the modern JoJo Part 9 also. I can see why a lot of people think that this is like the best parts of JoJo because a lot of it is. It's wild, it's crazy, it's insane.
Is it still like really, really stupid and fun?
Yes,
Because
it is
I
so
love that about
stupid and
JoJo.
fun. Yes,
Okay, good.
absolutely it is. I think so far. So I watched all of season 1, all of part 1, part 2, part 3, first half of part 4, and then I started reading. And one of the first fights they have is against a stand called Sheer Heart Attack. I think the fight versus Sheer Heart Attack might be the best stand fight in all of JoJo that I've consumed so
That's
far.
so stupid.
It's
Oh, sheer heart attack.
it's so funny because Sheer Heart Attack is just a stand that it explodes. It's a bomb and it has like a one track mind and it just chases down heat sources. That's it. But it's so like I don't know the way that it goes about doing it. All the characters that are involved in it. The fact that Yoshikaga Kira is like trying to get his jacket back at one point in the fight. Like he just wants to take his jacket like back because the good guys are tracking him down using a button that he dropped earlier. It's so good. Like I see why Kira is one of the best bad guys. I see why Part 4 is a lot of people's favorites. This is not my favorite JoJo as far as
Wait,
this is Josuke, but
this Kira guy has the heart attack stand. That's just like
so this
that's
Kira
very
guy, this
Death
Yoshikaga
Note
Kira's
analogous.
stand. No, the Yoshikaga Kira's stand is called Killer Queen.
Oh, okay.
Which is
I love
a
that.
Queen
Okay.
song.
Yeah.
And that stand can create another stand called Sheer Heart Attack, which is another Queen song. Those are both really good Queen songs, by the way. Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I would almost implore you to just go and read. Like, I don't even think you need the introduction. You could probably watch. It's probably 3 episodes in the anime, maybe 4. It's pretty long. It's like 9 chapters. I'd like just reading it. It's like so. It's funny, like one of the stands like adds weight to the stand so it can't move, and then like but the closer it is, the more weight it adds. It's so creative and so silly and so stupid and so dumb.
I love that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so like at the end of this arc, Kira gets his face removed and his consciousness transferred to another person's random body, and the rest.
Of course he does.
Yeah, of course, yes. And that was a stand that like happened right before, and then and so like there are these fun side chapters between the like the JoJo boys doing stuff, where it's Kira trying to like fit in with this new family and like suppress his need to like kill women and cut their hands off and stuff. It's I don't know.
Like
It's hilarious and
that's
great. I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun.
is he he's the copy paste guy, right? He's like, my name is Yoshikage Gira. I drink a glass of chocolate milk every day. Like
Yes, that's him. Yeah.
That long.
He's like, I
Okay,
just
yeah,
want a
yeah.
boring normal life, but then he like has a girl's hand in his jacket that he pulls out and like plays with. It's like
That's hilarious.
it's so wild and stupid. It's like it reminds me why I liked the good parts of JoJo, like especially part 2, Battle Tendency. That was my favorite. But a lot of part 3 also, like the end of part 3 is maybe also the best part of JoJo I've read. I don't know. It's fun, and I'm enjoying reading it more than I was watching it. I think at this point, Araki's art has sort of settled into what he's going to be and the fashion, and honestly, having it be in full color like adds a ton to JoJo in my opinion. Like not that
I bet it
JoJo's
does for JoJo. I bet
yeah
it
for
does
JoJo
I
specifically.
don't know.
Yeah,
I think color must add to this series because they're all fabulous, right? Like
yeah, it really does.
You need the color in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know how it works because there's some there'll be some like scenes or shots or something where it's just like Rohan Kishibe like posing with his like new outfit he's wearing for like 2 panels, and you're like, I guess in black and white that's cool, but in color it's like, oh hell yeah, like that's so sick.
Dude, okay, hold on. This is fucked up. Is that a hat or is that his hair? What is happening?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yes,
Got
the answer to your question is yes.
I that's fucked up. What's happening over there? It's like bothering me, and I just reconcile.
It is intentionally like that. Even in the anime, it's like that. It's so funny. I don't. Yeah. The answer is it is both.
What is your deal, bro? What's happening up there?
That's Jotaro from part 3. Yeah, who's aged up.
That's Jotaro. What happened to you? What are you doing? Like what?
Yeah, I don't know.
Did you just grow your hair out and decide like you don't need a hat anymore? Your hair is your hat now.
It's just I think it's just one of those goofy things that Araki does in JoJo,
That's
where it's just like,
okay.
oh, I'll just like he won't take his hat off ever, and the hair will bleed into the hat, and we'll just draw it like that. Who cares? Like, I don't know. I mean, this came out like in the 90s, right? Like this was I think published in like
So stupid.
like maybe 95, 97 ish. So yeah, I don't. It's very cool. I don't know. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm glad I'm reading it. I'm glad it's in full color. Because there are a lot of conversations around part 7, Steel Ball Run. People saying that is just one of the best flat out manga they've ever read. And so I was like, all right, I got to try to get to part 7. I've heard part 6 is good. So I got to get through Diamond is Unbreakable. I'm gonna try to read Golden Wind if there's a color version. If there's not a color version, maybe I'll probably watch the anime for a couple of episodes to get the feel of it, and then maybe switch to manga. But yeah, having a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah, tell me what you're doing. I hope I grabbed the right Midnight Suns.
I honestly would not know. I just installed it. I'm going to play it. I am on a roguelike kick. I realized that I don't hate roguelikes. I actually love them. And this is seemingly a roguelike deck builder, or maybe
this
it's
is
just deck
not
builder.
a roguelike. This is just a deck builder strategy type, from what I understand.
It was on. They had like the special edition on sale on Steam, and I guess normally it's like $80. It was $20. So
Okay.
I'm
I've heard this
looking
was
for a good deck builder.
yeah, all of the gaming podcasts that I listened to, this was on like every single one of their top 10 lists as like a great game. Apparently the story is great. All the conversations and stuff you have with all the characters are great. The combat and strategy stuff is good. Like I've heard this game just rocks and like kind of didn't get advertised very much.
That's what I hear too. So I'm here to give it a crack. I'll update you guys later on how it is. It's a little interesting. I don't really care about any of these characters too much. So I hope it's still a fun game, despite not being super invested in Marvel. But yeah, I'll let you know.
Cool. Yeah, I think from what I understand, it does a good job with all the sort of like, you're between a mission, go talk to everybody at your base. Like those conversations apparently are like really good and really interesting and stuff. Really flesh out the characters, makes you like really like them. So I think you'll learn to like a character while playing it. Hopefully.
Well, you know what? Luckily, I don't hate Marvel. It's just I'm just like it. Like the IP doesn't spark joy or anything. So
Yeah.
I'm not going into the game because I want a Marvel game. I'm going into it because I want a deck builder. So
There you go. Yeah.
but I'll probably like it. Can Ghost Rider turn that shit off? Like if he wants to.
Technically, yeah. If he's because
Okay.
there's a human person inside Ghost Rider, except they're all kind of a little different from what I know. I don't know. I'm not big into Ghost Rider specifically. I have seen the 2 movies with fucking
Nick
what's his
Cage.
name? With Nick Cage in them, yeah.
What insane casting.
They're they're bad, but they're also good bad. And to where it's like
Yeah, I suppose
yeah, I
you
don't know.
just don't want to you don't want to create a franchise around good bad, right? It's there for
Yeah.
us, like we would enjoy it, but because Nick Cage is hilarious. But I there's a reason why Ghost Rider never took off like Iron
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Anything
Okay,
else on Marvel Sons? Are we good to get out of here?
no, let's get out of here.
All right,
We'll
let's
check
do
back
it.
in next week.
Hey, thanks again, everybody, for listening or watching. Don't forget, leave us feedback, comments, talk to us about if you're into Tokyo Exorcist manga, we want to hear from you. Give us an upvote, thumbs up, subscribe, all that jazz. Do check out our Twitter and Patreon, links in description. Yeah, thanks for being here again. Hope you enjoyed us talking about One Piece and all that stuff.
Indeed. Yeah. Honestly, get in the comments about the Exorcist manga. Are we overreacting? It's fucking nuts, right? Like, what's up with that?
They just keep trying.
I don't know. Well, hey, and anyway, I'll catch you guys later.
Hey, thanks for being with us. Don't forget to read more manga.